Dave, before the season started, you said you were going to cut Darnell Nurse's minutes back if possible this year, and yet he's played 60 minutes in the first 2 games. So,
I'm working on it.
You were like, is there a point in the
working on it?
Is there a point in the game where you're saying, I want him out there, I want him out there, I want him out there, but I got to cut him back? Well, or the game's just so close.
Couple factors. One, the first game got over because there's overtime, and Duncan Keith gets hurt for 10 minutes. So so you're a small sample here.
Do you think Darnell Nurse should be on the Olympic team?
I think he should be in the conversation for sure. I don't know who else is there, but he certainly should be in the conversation.
Okay, and now you're going to be playing at an American team for the first time after playing 59 straight against Canadian teams in regular season.
And looking forward to it.
I was going to say, do you have to look at their, you always look at your own team, but do you have to look at the other team's roster and say, oh, this guy's on that team? Or
yeah, they got some young players on there we haven't seen before, so that's going to be the fun of it, looking at some different rosters and seeing some different players. All that stuff will, I think all the teams around the league are looking forward to that.
Dave, Kyler Yamamoto is the player he is because he's so dogged and tenacious, but he did get a couple penalties on Saturday, and I think, last year he had some stretches where he got some minor penalties. Is he still struggling to find the line to sort of be that player but not take as many penalties as he has? How do you look at that? Especially
this year. I told him about a lesson an old coach taught me a long time ago because I was a penalty killer. And all he said was, Tip, you're a penalty killer, not a penalty taker. So when we get a penalty, I want you on the ice. If you're in the penalty box, you can't be on the ice. So we're using him as penalty killing, so he shouldn't be taking penalties.
So is it something he's doing where he just isn't recognizing quite yet what is...
First one the other night, his stick gets caught up in a guy's feet. The second one is not a good penalty to take. Can't put your stick in a guy's hands in the middle of the ice when you're down. The other team's down in a game. They're screaming every time somebody come close. Just can't do it. And you can say it was a light call, but his stick is in their hands, is in his hands. It's a call. What I'd say to him is, if we were in that situation and somebody did that to Connor, we're saying it should have been a penalty. It's a penalty. So he shouldn't be taking penalties. He has to play the same aggressive style, but he can't be taking a lot of minors.
Thank you.
Do you, is there a reason that like Nurse can play 30 minutes? We've watched it now. He plays a lot of minutes. Is there something about his game? Is there something about the way he skates? Is it, why can he do it so comfortably when other guys can't?
Well, he's a phenomenal athlete for starters. He's engaged in the game. But I think players can get to the point where you play too many minutes. You don't play as hard as you need to. You get resting on the ice, and that's what we got to. It's a long season. I'd like to see his minutes come down a little bit and continue to have his energy in the game. But we're looking at, we've already talked about it. It's a small sample so far because of the situation in Game 1 yesterday, or the game the other night was a tight game. But I think his minutes can come down a little bit, and he can still be very effective for our team. But that being said, he's an incredible athlete. He'll take everything you give him.
As a coach, what are the reasons why you'd like to see him part of the Olympics in Beijing? What are the things that would do for a player at his spot in his career right now?
Well, you look how much his game has grown, and to be talked about in that group and have a chance to be on that team possibly is just another thing that builds a player's confidence that he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. He's doing right. Like, he's moving forward. If he's taking steps back, then you'd be second guessing. If he's getting in that conversation, it's for a reason. It's because of how he's played and his leadership and what he's brought to our team. So it just verifies the work that he's put in is paying dividends for him. So it's a confidence builder. It's a knowledge builder. You go to those things. I've been involved in 2 Olympics and a bunch of World Cup or World Championship stuff. you go there and you learn. You learn. Depends if you're young, old, doesn't matter. You learn from other people, especially top people around. So it's a feather in his cap. I mean, I'd love to see him get on that team just for the confidence that it would give him and the knowledge that it would give him.
Your team's staying in Vegas for a couple days after the game. Early in the season, get the guy. What do you hope to do there? What happens when the team gets to go there together for a couple days?
Both Ken and I have been a fan of trying to get your team away a little bit in training camp, and we didn't have a chance to do that, so it's just a couple extra days. We don't play till the next Wednesday, so it's just a good time to keep our team on the road. A little team bonding never hurts anybody.
Devon Shaw was back today.
Yeah.
Does he look like he can play?
We'll make the final decision in the morning, but he says he feels pretty good, so as long as it didn't tweak anything out of practice. I haven't talked to him yet after practice, but he seemed like he got through practice fine, but we'll make that decision in the morning.
And Yamamoto and Anderson did not get suspended. You thought it was a headbutt. What do you think now?
I said the league will take care of it. The league give them what they thought it was warranted, and I have no here nor there. The league takes care of it. That's the good thing about it. All those plays, I looked, I saw what it was. The league takes care of it. You move on.
Will Mike Smith play again tomorrow?
Yes.
Because, I guess it's a line you have to straddle with another goaltender who had a good camp, but the guy's playing so well, you don't want to take him out.
Koski will get in there soon, but we just want to. Mike played really well the first two games. We'll put him in there tomorrow, and then we'll reevaluate once we get on the road.
One last question. Too many penalties the first two games?
Yeah, too many. There's some that didn't have to be taken, right? There's some that questionable, soft, whatever you want to call them, but there's some that you have to recognize you can't take penalties like that. And like I said the day before, it's not, the penalties are a byproduct of some of the things we're doing before that penalty, When we have the puck and turn it over and all of a sudden you got to defend, now you got a chance to take a penalty. And that's more in the first game than the last game, but too many. I'd like to take less for sure.
Dave, you mentioned at the start of the year, one of your main focuses when you want to limit goals against 5-on-5. It's obviously super early, but so far, so good. What have you seen overall from your 5-on-5 play that you've liked?
Well, first of all, in the goals against department, I've seen excellent goaltending from Mike. We've given up more chances than I'd like to give up in each of the games. That being said, there's a lot of, there's 47 shots the other night. It wasn't a 47-shot game. The chances were very even in the game. And but that being said, every time a puck goes to your net, there's a chance bad things can happen. So there's some things we've got to do better. And we haven't been bad, but just there's some things that we can be better at. Coverage in our own end that's been wandering a little bit, and not getting engaged as much as I'd like to see, and we've addressed some of those things in the practice today and in some videos. So it's been all right, but not at the level we need to be. We need to keep getting better.
You've had a pretty easy schedule as far as time between games for this whole month of October. I know you have the back-to-back later this week, but there's a lot of downtime. Does that allow you to play some of your top guys more to allow you maybe to get off to a better start? Do you want, is a good start a key for you? And do you find that the extra days off can help you with more practice as you've had a few games?
Yeah, it allows you to not overtax people or not worry about overtaxing people when you're not playing a lot of games right now, which, your top people, they're not tired when I play them, right? So that's part of it. The other part of it gives you a time to, you play a game, you step back, reflect, okay, here's some areas we got to continue to improve at, here's some things that we're doing well, but it allows you to catch your breath. But if you look at our schedule, we're going to be talking about the other way. You look around that Christmas and the first couple of weeks of January, there'll be days we'll be wishing we had days off. So it's just the ebb and flow of the schedule. Right now it works to our favor a little bit, and it's been not bad.
Dave, recognizing that their styles of play are different, do you see any similarities in Darnell Nurse now compared to Duncan Keith at the same age?
I don't know. I mean, I didn't have Duncan Keith, you play against him, so you know who he is, but I don't know. Nursey's you could probably say they're both left defensemen. You know, one's a great big guy and the other guy's a medium-sized guy. They both skate well. You know, they both play in all situations. That's the one thing you can say about them. They're, you know, neither one of them you could class as strictly an offensive defenseman or a defenseman. They're both really good two-way defensemen. So in that sense, similar.
And going back to Kyler Yamamoto, you said, you know, you want him as a penalty killer, not a penalty taker. But what do you like about him on the penalty kill? What has made him kind of jump up here and take that role?
Well, he's a smart player. He's got the tenacity about him. He's got a good stick. You know, he's quick, and he's still early in the penalty killing part of it. You know, he was a good penalty killer in the American League. He hasn't done a lot for us here, but with Archibald out, we want to push him in that direction a little more. So he's still early, but he's got a lot of the attributes that I think a good penalty killer should have. It's work ethic, it's anticipation. Relentless on pucks, win puck battles, things that allow you to be a good penalty killer. He's got those attributes in his game.
Morning, Dave.
Morning.
I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball at you and take you back to your playing days to talk about your hockey stick. What color?
Stick?
Yeah, your hockey stick in your playing days. What color of tape did you use on the bottom of your blade?
Black, and I used Gordy Howe friction tape.
Gordy Howe tape?
Do you know what Gordy Howe friction tape is?
No, I don't. Can you explain that?
So the old friction tape, it's thicker. It's, you know, you got cloth tape now. When I first got to Hartford, when I signed in 83, 84 after the Olympics, Gordy Howe was still around our team. He was still practicing with our team. And he used old friction tape. And some of you might know what it is, but it's a thicker black friction tape. I still use it today. Langer gets it for me. And what it is, it just gives a little more cushion on your blade. I think all players should use it now, or most players, because the blades are so hard now with the composite, and then you put cloth tape on it, it's just, you see how many pucks bounce off a lot of guys' sticks. So I used black friction tape. We used to call it Gordy Howe tape, and that's what it was called in Hartford because Gordy used it.
Did you ever convince a player to use it, and did they ever?
Oh yeah, a few guys.
Can you maybe give us an example if you remember?
No, because then you're going to think there were players that needed it.
Fair enough. How often did you tinker with your stick when you were a player?
Lots, because way more than now, because you had a wood stick and you have a pattern, but they would never come the same, right? So we did a lot more curving and shaving and stuff like that. Now they come exactly the same, every one. So there was a lot more work to it then, and I enjoyed that work.
Now, before the games, you always see players in the stick room, you know, adjusting their curve, adjusting their tape. Was that you ever? Were you always in the stick room, or did you kind of just take it as they brought it in, whoever your manufacturer was?
Yeah, I probably spent a good fair amount of time in there. I tinkered around with them a lot, but yeah, I would say once I got a few that I liked, I would run with them for a while.
What curve did you use, sorry? Do you know what curve is, like, was it like a heel curve, was it a toe curve, was it no curve?
It was probably more of a toe curve, but somewhere in between.
Was it a heavier stick because, like you said, you were a penalty killer, so you had to kind of...
No, it was a light stick, but I had to try to get a pretty thick blade on it for face-offs and knocking pucks down.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Did you wish you got some of Gordy's skill when you taped with his tape? Sorry, I had to ask.
I was missing that part of it. I was thinking the tape had something to do with it, but when I finally realized it wasn't, but I still use it to this day. The trainers laugh at me. I still use it today.
One last thing I forgot to ask. So if Shore's back on the roster, then you'll have one too many forwards, correct?
Good math, Jim.
So does that mean that McLeod might be going to the minors? Because
That's why we said we'll deal with that in the morning. That's an upstairs decision.
Okay.